Yo, every day's a hustle for this daily bread. Even after man's dead, coming like Arabian Nights, no lie. Yo, like Alibaba and the 40 thieves. Like Alibaba and the 40 thieves. Like Alibaba and the 40 thieves. Every day we hustle just for see some peas. Jano, Alibaba and the 40 thieves. Alibaba and the 40 thieves. Just like Alibaba and the 40 thieves. Hustle for the money, then we burn some trees. Like Alibaba and the 40 thieves. Big up all the shotters moving 40 keys. If it give me a little piece, I won't call the police. Black man don't fall to the mark of the beast. If they lock we in the prison, them not got released. So I make my couple shillings, then I'm gone to the east. Cause every day's a
Good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen of all ages. Tonight, we're going to be reading from Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. Chapter 1. In the town of Persia lived two brothers, sons of a poor man. One named Qasim, the other Alibaba. Qasim the elder married a wife with a considerable fortune and lived at his case, but the wife of Alibaba was poor as himself. They dwelt in a mean cottage in the suburbs, and he maintained his family by cutting wood. Alibaba was in the forest preparing to load his donkeys with the wood he had cut, when he saw a troop of horsemen approaching. He hastily climbed a large thick tree and hid himself among the branches. Alibaba counted 40 of them. Each took a loaded coat hanger from his horse and turned to the rock and said, "Open sesame!" Immediately, the door opened. The robbers passed in when the door shut of itself. In a short time, the door opened again, and the robbers came out, who said, "Shut, sesame!" The door instantly closed. Alibaba ventured down and approaching the rock and said, "Open sesame!" Immediately, the door flew open. He brought his donkeys, took as many bags of gold coin as they could carry. Alibaba told his brother the secret of the cave. Qasim rose early the next morning and set out with 10 mules loaded with great chests. He found the rock and, having said, "Open sesame," gained admission, where he found more treasure than he expected, which made him forget the word that caused the door to open. Presently he heard the sound of horses' feet, which he concluded to be the robbers, who instantly put him to death. Alibaba drove to the forest, and on entering the cave he found the body of his brother cut into quarters. He took the quarters and put them upon one of his donkeys, and delivered the body to Qasim's wife. Morgiana, a female slave in his brother's house, was sent early next morning to a poor cobbler, and gave him 2 pieces of gold to go with her blindfolded, taking him into the room where the body was laid. Bade him sew the mangled limbs together. She asked him to sew the mangled limbs together. Mustafa obeyed, having received 2 pieces of gold, and was led blindfolded the same way back. Qasim was buried with all due solemnity, and Alibaba removed the house of his deceased brother, of which he took possession. The captain of the troop resolved to find out who possessed the secret of the entrance into his cave, and disguised himself, went into the city early one morning. When accosting the cobbler, he was told of the job he had, who for 6 pieces of gold allowed himself to be blindfolded, and traced out the house of Qasim, which the robber marked with chalk. Buying 19 mules and 39 large jars, one full of oil and the rest empty, the captain put a man into each jar, properly armed. He then proceeded to the street where Alibaba dwelt. "Sir," he said, "I have brought this oil a great way to sell. As I am quite a stranger, will you let me put my mules into your courtyard and direct me where I may lodge tonight?" Alibaba welcomed the pretended oil merchant, offered him a bed in his own house, and invited his guest into supper. Don't trust the Babylon. That's it to you. Morgiana, sitting up later that night than usual, her lamp went out. She took her oil pot in her hand and approached the first jar. The robber within said, "It is time, Captain." She replied, "No, not yet." So she ran back to the kitchen and brought out a large kettle, which she filled with oil, set it on a great wood fire, As soon as it boiled, she went and poured it into the jar sufficient of the boiling oil to kill every man within. It's a clever way. The captain of the robbers arose to assemble his men. Coming to the first jar, he felt the steam of the boiled oil. He ran hastily to the rest and found every one of his troop put to death. Full of rage, he forced the lock of the door and made his escape over the walls. Without letting anyone into the secret, Ali Baba and Morgiana the next night buried the 39 thieves at the bottom of the garden. The captain at length, however, determined to adopt a new scheme for the destruction of Ali Baba. He removed all the valuable merchandise from the cave to the city and took a shop exactly opposite Ali Baba's house. Ali Baba's son went every day to his shop. The pretended Khwaja Hassan soon appeared to be very fond of Ali Baba's son, offered him many ornaments and often detained him to dinner. Ali Baba thought it was necessary to make some return to these civilities, and he invited Khwaja Hassan to supper. Morgiana carried in the first dish himself. The moment she looked at Khwaja Hassan, she knew it was the pretended oil merchant. She sent the other slaves into the kitchen and waited at the table herself. And while Khwaja Hassan was drinking, she perceived he had a dagger hid under his coat. She went away and dressed herself in the habit of a dancing girl. As soon as she appeared at the parlour door, her master ordered her to come in to enter his guest with some of her best dancing. Morgiana danced several times and then the captain of the robbers arose to assemble his men. Coming to the first jar, he felt the steam of the boiled oil. He ran hastily to the rest and found every one of his troop put to death. Full of rage, he forced the lock to the door, made his escape over the walls. Without letting anyone into the secret, Ali Baba and Morgiana the next night buried the 39 thieves at the bottom of the garden. That was the end of the story, Ali Baba and the 40 thieves. Oh, good night, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Raggo Zulu Rebel's Storyteller. Story time, same time, tomorrow night. Good night, guys.